Welcome to English Kumarbharati. Unit 1.2 The Thief's Story. Ruskin Bond, 1934, is an Indian author of British descent. He lives with his adopted family in Landore in Missouri, India. The Indian Council for Child Education has recognized his role in the growth of children's literature in India. He got the Sahitya Academy Award in 1992 for Our Trees Still Grow in Dehra for his published work in English. He was awarded the Padma Shri in 1999 and Padma Bhushan in 2014. This story has been written by Ruskin Bond. The story has a simple plot with important message. There is a small-time thief who befriends a struggling author in the plans of making a steal. Anil, the struggling author, is a good fellow who wants to teach Hari Singh how to read and write. Gradually, Anil develops trust in Hari Singh. But Hari Singh has been waiting for the right moment to make a killing by doing what he is best at. After stealing money from Anil, Hari Singh tries to go away forever. But some inner voice stops him from doing so. He returns to Anil because he wants to live a life of respect. Anil does not show that he knew about the incident and accepts Hari Singh with open arms. Thus, a well-intentioned person tries to reform a teenager who had diverted from the correct path. I was still a thief when I met Anil, and though only 15, I was an experienced and fairly successful hand. Anil was watching a wrestling match when I approached him. He was about 25, a tall, lean fellow, and he looked easygoing, kind, and simple enough for my purpose. I hadn't had much luck of late and thought I might be able to get into the young man's confidence. "You look a bit of a wrestler yourself," I said. "A little flattery helps in making friends." "So do you," he replied, which put me off for a moment because at that time I was rather thin. "Well," I said modestly, "I do wrestle a bit." "What's your name?" "Hari Singh," I lied. I took a new name every month. That kept me ahead of the police and my former employers. "Hello again," he said. I gave him my most appealing smile. "I want to work for you," I said. "But I can't pay you." I thought that over for a minute. Perhaps I had misjudged my man. I asked, "Can you feed me?" "Can you cook?" "I can cook," I lied again. "If you can cook, then maybe I can feed you." He took me to his room over the Jamna sweet shop and told me I could sleep on the balcony. Later, he patted me on the head and said, never mind, he would teach me to cook. It was quite pleasant working for Anil. Anil made money by fits and starts. One evening, he came home with a small bundle of notes, saying he had just sold a book to a publisher. At night, I saw him tuck the money under the mattress. I had been working for Anil for almost a month and, apart from cheating on the shopping, had not done anything in my line of work. And that is why it was so difficult to rob him. "Well, it's time I did some real work," I told myself. "I'm out of practice, and if I don't take the money, he'll only waste it on his friends. After all, he doesn't even pay me." Anil was asleep. A beam of moonlight stepped over the balcony and fell on the bed. I sat up on the floor, considering the situation. My hand slid under the mattress, searching for the notes. When I found them, I drew them out without a sound. Anil sighed in his sleep and turned on his side towards me. I was startled and quickly crawled out of the room. When I was on the road, I began to run. I had the notes on my waist, held there by the string of my pajamas. When I reached the station, I did not stop at the ticket office. I had never bought a ticket in my life, but dashed straight to the platform. The Lucknow Express was just moving out. The train had still to pick up speed and I should have been able to jump into one of the carriages. But I hesitated. For some reason, I can't explain, and I lost the chance to get away. When the train had gone, I found myself standing alone on the deserted platform. In my short career as a thief, I had made a study of men's faces when they had lost their goods. The greedy man showed fear, the rich man showed anger, the poor man showed acceptance. But I knew that Anil's face, when he discovered the theft, would show only a touch of sadness. Not for the loss of money, but for the loss of trust. I found myself in the Maidan and sat down on a bench. The night was chilly. It was early November, and a light drizzle added to my discomfort. Anil's money. In the morning, he would probably have given me 2 or 3 rupees to go to the cinema, but now I had it all. I had forgotten about them in the excitement of the theft. I hurried back to the room, feeling very nervous, for it is much easier to steal something than to return it undetected. I opened the door quietly, then stood in the doorway in clouded moonlight. Anil was still asleep. I awoke late next morning to find that Anil had already made the tea. He stretched out his hand towards me. There was a 50-rupee note between his fingers. My heart sank. I thought I had been discovered. I made some money yesterday, he explained. Now you'll be paid regularly. My spirits rose, but when I took the note, I saw it was still wet from the night's rain. Today, we'll start writing sentences, he said. He knew, but neither his lips nor his eyes showed anything. I smiled at Anil in my most appealing way, and the smile came by itself, without any effort. It's important to understand in this short story that deep in his heart, the thief does want a better, more truthful life. He says that once he learns to write properly, it might be an incentive to be honest. Therefore, there is somewhat of a moral compass within him. He ends up stealing money from Anil, but in the end returns the money back to him. The thief is fond of Anil and sympathetic towards him. The thief wants to learn to be an educated man and turn his life around. By the end of the story, he is taking the first steps to improve his lot in life.